everyone, it's April with Hair 101. Today we are going to do a bob haircut. It's just a really simple cut. It's straight across, and I'm going to show you a couple techniques that make this haircut look a little bit more polished and better. So you're gonna wash the hair, comb it out, make sure it's tangle free, and then I'm going to part the very front of her part where she usually does it. Ellie, do you part on this side or this side?
Usually that side.
This side? Okay, so this is a little trick when you're trying to find someone's part. Comb the hair straight back, and then you just take your hand and just kind of push it forward, and it usually splits right where they usually part it. The hair is trained to go those separate ways. So go ahead and part the hair where they wear it. And then you're gonna make sure that there is no hair stuck right underneath the ear right here. So make sure you comb that nice and straight. Now you need to be aware of the ear being there, because if you just comb straight down and like catch the ear with the comb, you're gonna hurt them. It's gonna scratch their ears a little bit. So I usually go into the ear and then pull it out like that, and then even hook the comb around the ear a little bit just to get that little bit of hair that usually sticks along the ear right there, and pull that out. So once you make sure that you have both of the sides really nice and straight combed out. So now I'm going to go back from this part, and I'm going to center it up so that while I'm cutting the back sections, I'm at a center part. And so that's what that looks like. It just kind of takes a curve back to center. And then I'm gonna go ahead and part the hair down the middle and the back. Now the reason why I part the hair up here right now, I don't want to forget about it later on, of course. And when you're doing this haircut, if you don't cut the hair where they're going to be wearing it, you will, if they flip that over, you'll have a little bit longer piece. So if they're going to be wearing it down the middle also, if they switch their part up and do both sides or down the middle, you're gonna want to cut the hair down the middle, and that way they could do any of them. But she always, I know her pretty well, and she always wears her hair at that part. So go ahead and look down. There you go. And in the back, after you have that straight back parting, you're going to take just below the curve of the head, you're going to take 2 more partings. And these are going to be pretty straight, but just a slight angle forward. So the reason why I do that is because I like bobs that are just a teeny bit longer in the front. It's not really an A-line because you don't have any graduation. But if you have a haircut cut straight like this, and then you look up a little bit, it looks like it's shorter and then longer in the back. And I personally just don't really love that. So I always do it just a little bit of a graduation towards the front. So when they look straight, the line still looks straight and not like this. The line will look straight. So we're pushing the hair against her neck to get it nice and flush against her head, and then her head is tilted forward. So you have this nice area to work on. And I'm gonna just cut a guide point right here. Decide how short you want it. You definitely are not going to want to cut the hair shorter than where it naturally grows. If you can do it right at that line if they want a nice short bob, but I am doing hers just like an inch below where it naturally grows out of her head. So and if your shears have been dropped, you might have like a little burr on the edge of your scissors, and if it's catching on their skin, then don't do it this way. You're gonna have to get your shears sharpened, but you're not gonna wanna scratch them. So this should feel really smooth. It shouldn't be cutting them at all or scratching them. If it is, you're gonna have to pick it up with your fingers like this, and that's gonna take out some of the, it's gonna give you a little bit of a graduation, and that's not really what we want. We want this to be really nice and blunt, so hopefully you don't have to do that. So now this piece, I'm not cutting it all the way over here where it would naturally fall. I'm pulling it just a teeny bit over, just a little bit, and that's gonna be what gives us the little bit of length in the front. Now what this does when you're pushing the hair down and cutting it right against their skin, it undercuts it just a little bit. So it's gonna naturally just roll under. Her hair is not gonna have to be round brushed, and it's really great for little girls because we don't have time to round brush our little girls' hair every single day before they go to school. And so it's nice if you can get a haircut that just dries that way. That's ideal, but of course we can't all have that, so she's just a lucky girl. I'm gonna come in on this side. I'm moving where I'm cutting and I'm flipping my hand this way. So you can see that I'm over directing it, just like I did on this side, just slightly, but still following the same guideline. Okay, now you're gonna wanna check, make sure that the length is the same. And the way I do is this, I just find the bones on their head and then I pull it straight and I can compare and see if one side is a little bit longer. I can just go in and adjust. You're just pulling it straight down. And this does matter because we're gonna start following this line all the way to the front of her head. And so if it's already uneven right now, it's just gonna magnify that further on as you go. So make sure that that's right, and then you're ready to take down your next section. So I'm gonna do 1 inch, and I'm making it parallel to the last parting. So it's just slightly forward. And I don't really need to use clips for hers. You are free to do that if you want. Go ahead, use clips, but for her, I can just comb it the opposite way and it's staying fine. So I'm gonna ditch the clips just for time's sake. Whenever you do that, make sure you comb the hair opposite of what you're doing so that you can see the parting lines, because that's usually helping you establish where you're cutting. Okay, and we're just gonna do the same thing. You can see the guide through. You're just following that line that you already had established all the way around. And when this haircut's dry, we're gonna go through and give it a little bit of texture into the ends because it is very, very blunt, and that's, you don't have to do that. You'll just have to see when it's dry if you like it. But I usually do go through and clean up any of these little hairs when it's dry. Especially around the neck, it can dry funny and the swirls have a mind of their own. So I'm changing positions over here and cutting this way. So the combing in this haircut is very important because if you way over combed it like this and cut it, you're gonna mess up that line that you have. So try to remember where it was. And I'm doing this and flipping my hand this way just because this way I was cutting the hair, pushing it this way, and now I want to be doing it this way. If I cut the hair this way and then cut the hair that way too, sometimes it can push it all this way, and then you'll have like a longer and a shorter side because it's over directing the hair more than it would be if you cut it the same direction you were cutting the other side at. So something to think about. And it's really not hard to just bring your hand like this. You're not twisting your wrist more than you would. It should be pretty comfortable just to flip your hand that way. And sometimes I get down right eye level with it and just check it out. Good. All right, we're gonna take another section back. Once you get up to the top of the head, you don't need to pull the sections back anymore. You can start doing them on the side, but this is gonna be our last section, right at the top of her head. And we're just gonna cut along that guide. All right, so we're going to do the front sides now. You can just look straight. There you go. So at this point you want them to be looking straight or even slightly chin up so that you can see where the hair is going to fall. And it should all be at the natural fall now. So anything past this bone should be able to come back here. And if you see anything longer than your guide, go ahead and cut that off now. Okay, go ahead and look down one more time. There are just a couple stray hairs. Just grab those. So now we're gonna go to this side over here. And I'm gonna have her tilt her head slightly this way. And now I'm going to use my fingers. And I'm going to part the hair right where that ear is. And then I'm going to push this hair behind so that I can have it at the 0 elevation. Cut that piece off. Okay, tilt just a little bit. No, like that. There you go. And then I'm going to make sure that there's no hair stuck behind the ear. Comb it straight down. And like I said, I'm doing a slightly forward, slightly angled like this, and it'll make sense once we dry this that we're doing that. And you should be following your guide. And notice that I'm also pulling the hair like this where she's actually going to be wearing it. I'm not following it all the way around her face because that will keep it shorter, and we don't want to get it short right there. We want to keep a little bit of the length around her face to frame her face. So I'm pulling this hair along the hairline like this and then cutting it off. And if the hair is too thick, you can do this in a couple sections. Hers, it's fine. I can see my guide and I'm comfortable with cutting that amount of hair, so it's okay. And then roll it around. If you see any long little pieces, you can grab those. So now we're going to do this side. And you're going to tilt your head just a little bit like this. There you go. And part it down so that this can be straight down without having to worry about that ear. Follow that guide, slightly angling it forward. Directing it back to the guide. All right, last thing you want to do is just check and make sure that your sides are even. Make sure they're sitting straight, their legs aren't crossed. And I like to do a little check for their shoulders right here too. I like to look straight in at them, so just the angle that you have, and get my head right there level with their chin so that I can see. And just check and make sure that one side's not sitting on the shoulder and the other one's raised off. It gives you a little bit better of a reference to see. It looks all right, so we're gonna go ahead and dry it up. Oh wait, really quick, you wanted bangs, huh? You want them straight forward, or do you want to kind of have them swoosh to the sides?
Kind of have it like swoosh to.
Swoosh it to the side? Okay, that sounds good to me. So, there are a couple ways to do this. I'm going to cut her bangs with a razor because I don't want them super blunt, because I know how hard it is to grow out super blunt bangs on little girls. And they change their minds a lot, so that's how I'm doing it. I'm just going to take the razor in here, start it right above her eye, and just blend it down. And just slowly move my fingers down as I'm going to give it a little bit more length. And that's a really soft, blendy way to do it, so you don't have any big choppy marks. And now we're going to dry it up. While we're blow drying this front part, if you have a swoopy bang, you always want to hold the blow dryer like this and direct it this way, and that will just help you have that flowy, sweepy look. So one really quick tip about blow drying, even if you're going to round brush it, it's best to blow dry the hair until it's at a point to where it's like almost dry on its own, and then you go back in with your round brush and you can heat up the round brush and let it cool into the shape that you want. But if you start with sopping wet hair and start to round brush, it's going to take you forever, and it's just not necessary. So this is strumming the hair and just blow drying it in the direction that the hair grows, and that will help seal down the cuticle, and then you go back in and round brush. Also, when I'm blow drying, I don't use clips. You'll notice that in my other videos. I get the hair pretty dry, and then I just have them look forward to do the back and comb the hair like this up, and then I'll use the back. So I'll just kind of watch and see how I do it. I don't use clips, okay? I'm crazy like that. Now I'm going to teach you how to make money grow on trees. First, I'm just going to check her bangs. We can do a little bit heavier on the bangs here, so. And now that it's dry, I'm going to use my shears because I don't want to hurt her. So the razor can be a little bit snaggy. That's better. She just needs a little bit more. And she has a little bit of a cowlick right in there, so it's nice to do a little bit thicker to cover that up. And if you wanted to cut some texture into this, it'd be really easy to just go through with the shears. And you could just lift it up a little bit and deep point cut into some of the ends if you have any spots that you want a little bit more texture in. Maybe just a little bit right here. As soon as the texture and the lines look where you want them, look like what you want them to look like, you are done. And your client is ready to go. All right, thanks guys. Thanks for watching. I hope that this helped you guys in some of your basic cuts, and let me know if you guys have any more requests, and I'm gonna be working on a lot of new videos coming up. I have a very long list already, but I would love to hear what you guys would like to see. Also, we have big surprises in store for this year, so make sure that you subscribe and you tell your friends to subscribe and give us a thumbs up. And we'll see you guys next time. Bye.